There's a specific night I think about a lot. Not the good kind of memorable, the kind where you're standing in a kitchen at 1 a.m. and you can feel a relationship deciding right there in front of you whether it's going to survive. She wasn't yelling. That's what got me. She was just quiet, arms crossed, looking at me like she was deciding whether I was even safe to be honest with. And I remember thinking, this is it. This is the moment, and I have no idea what to do with it. I'm going to tell you what happened in that kitchen later in this video because it's the clearest example I've ever lived through of the difference between a relationship that looks close and a relationship that actually is close. And once you understand that difference, you'll never look at connection the same way again. Here's what you're going to walk away with today. First, what soul-level connection actually is, according to the people who've spent their careers researching it, not according to some quote you saw on Instagram. Second, 9 specific, observable signs that tell you when you've reached that depth with someone. And third, exactly how to build it, starting from wherever you are right now, even if things feel surface level today. Stay with me until the end. Because there's a fourth thing. A question researchers ask that predicts, with unsettling accuracy, whether a couple will still be together in 2 years. Most people have never heard it. You're about to. Let's clear something up first. Soul-level connection is not chemistry. It's not the butterflies. It's not even compatibility. At least not the way people usually mean it. Dr. Helen Fisher, the biological anthropologist who spent decades studying love in the brain, found that romantic attraction and long-term attachment actually run through different neural systems. You can have intense chemistry with someone and never build real closeness, and you can build profound closeness with someone the chemistry didn't hit you over the head with at first. Real connection, the soul-level kind, is something else entirely. It's what happens when someone sees the parts of you that you don't perform for the world and stays. Psychologist Arthur Aaron ran a now famous study where he had strangers ask each other a specific set of increasingly personal questions for about 45 minutes. Afterward, many of them reported feeling closer to that stranger than to people they'd known for years. Aaron's finding wasn't that the questions were magic. It was that closeness is built, deliberately, through structured vulnerability, not stumbled into by accident. That's the whole game. So, when I say someone touched your soul or you touched theirs, I'm not talking about a feeling that happened to you. I'm talking about something you built, brick by brick, whether you realized you were building it or not. Here are the 9 signs it's actually happened. Sign 1. She tells you things she's never said out loud before, not just secrets, the shape underneath the secrets. Her real fear about ending up like her mother. The things she did in her 20s she's never forgiven herself for. Therapist and researcher Dr. Sue Johnson, who developed emotionally focused therapy, found that this kind of disclosure only happens once someone's nervous system decides you are what she calls a safe haven, somewhere the walls can come down without the roof caving in. That's not a small thing, that's her body deciding on a level deeper than logic that you are not a threat. Sign 2. She brings you her real decisions, not just her small ones. Not what to order for dinner, whether to take the job in another city, whether to go no contact with her father, what she actually wants her life to look like in 5 years. And here's the part people miss. She's not asking because she can't decide without you. She's asking because your perspective has become part of how she thinks. John Gottman calls this turning toward, the small, repeated moments where one partner reaches out and the other actually engages instead of brushing past it. Couples who consistently turn toward each other on the big stuff are the ones Gottman's research found were most likely to still be together decades later. Sign 3. She remembers things you forgot you said. The name of your childhood dog, a throwaway comment about a song that reminds you of your grandfather. This is not her having a good memory. This is significance. Somewhere along the way, you stopped being a person she talks to and became a person she's building an internal model of. and the brain holds on to detail for things it's decided matter. Sign 4. She lets you see her unfiltered, crying with a red face, admitting she was wrong before you even confront her about it, not managing her image around you anymore. Brené Brown's research on vulnerability found that people don't drop their armor because they feel strong. They drop it because they've tested the relationship enough times to trust it won't be used against them. If she's letting you see her at her worst, that's not weakness on her part. That's evidence. Evidence that somewhere along the way, you passed the test she never told you she was giving. Now, quick gut check before we go further, because this next part depends on you being honest with yourself. Are you someone people feel safer being messy around, or someone people quietly perform for? Sit with that for a second, because sign 5 builds directly on top of it. If you're finding this useful so far, this is a good moment to subscribe, because the rest of this video gets into the 2 signs almost nobody talks about, including the one that actually predicts long-term commitment better than any of the ones before it. Sign 5. She defends you when you're not in the room. Not blindly, she's not pretending you're perfect. She defends your character, your intentions, the version of you she's actually gotten to know. Researcher David Buss, who's spent decades studying commitment and mate value, found that public defense of a partner is one of the more reliable behavioral signals of genuine long-term investment, because it costs the person something socially. She's spending her own credibility on you. People don't do that for someone they're lukewarm on. Sign 6. You show up in her future without a question mark attached. It stops being maybe someday and starts being specific. A place she wants to take you. A life she's already half building with you in it. This is the shift from possibility to certainty, and it's one of the clearest tells there is, because the brain doesn't invest detailed imagination in outcomes it doesn't believe in. Sign 7. She challenges you, not nags, challenges. Calls you out when you're settling, pushes you when you're playing small. Esther Perel, who's written extensively on desire and long-term intimacy, has talked about how real closeness isn't just comfort. It needs a little friction, a little push, or it goes stale. If someone only ever agrees with you, they've stopped being invested in who you're becoming. The ones who touch your soul are the ones who still see who you could be and won't let you forget it. Sign 8. She makes room for what you're feeling, not just what you're doing. She notices when "I'm fine" isn't actually fine. She doesn't rush to fix it. Sometimes she just stays in it with you. This one matters more than people realize, because so many men are trained out of ever being asked this question honestly. When someone consistently creates space for your inner world instead of just your logistics, that's not a small gesture. That's rare. And sign 9. This is the one I said people get backwards. Sign 9 is not some grand, dramatic gesture. Sign 9 is that she chooses you again on an ordinary Tuesday when nothing's forcing her to, when the excitement has worn off and it would honestly be easier not to. People assume soul connection announces itself loudly. It doesn't. It shows up in the boring days. That's the twist. The version of love people chase is the fireworks. The version that's actually real is the version that shows up when there are no fireworks left to hide behind. Now, back to that kitchen. What actually happened that night is that I stopped trying to win the conversation and just told her the truth about something I was scared to admit, without defending myself first. That's it. That's the whole moment. And something shifted, not because I said the perfect thing, but because I stopped performing and let her see the actual, unedited version of what I was feeling. That's the thing nobody tells you about soul-level connection. It isn't built in the good moments. It's built in the moments you're tempted to manage your image, and you choose not to. Here's the 4-word question I mentioned earlier, the one researchers use to gauge relationship trajectory. Can I be seen? Not asked out loud. It's the question sitting underneath almost every one of the 9 signs above. Every time she opens up, defends you, lets herself be messy around you, she's quietly answering that question for herself about you. And every time you're vulnerable first, honest first, present first, you're answering it for her. So if you actually want to build this, not to just recognize it after the fact, there are 3 things that matter more than anything else. Be present, actually present. Phone down, not half listening while planning what you'll say next. Be vulnerable first. Don't wait for her to open the door. Walk through it yourself and hold it open behind you. And be consistent, because soul-level connection isn't a moment. It's a pattern of small, unremarkable choices that add up to something someone can actually trust. If this gave you a different way of looking at connection, hit subscribe and drop a comment telling me which of these 9 signs hit hardest for you. I read every one. And if you're building this with someone right now, here's your challenge for the week. Have one conversation where you go first. Say the thing you've been managing around. You might be surprised how fast the walls on the other side start coming down.